Nomad, Chapter 1, Part 2.
Hey, you got a phone?
He's lanky, unhealthily so, with long, tangled hair haphazardly stuffed into a messy bun. At some point I must have sat down next to the bridge, as the boy's figure arches over me in such a way that I can only see his silhouette cast against the streetlight, stiff and uneven. While the nasally voice is certainly deep enough to belong to a young adult, he doesn't know how to use it yet.
Sure.
I get a better look at his face once he sits down and unsteadily grabs the device. Dark eyes, hard jaw, and a long, sharp, distinctly broken nose with the bruise to go along with it.
Jesus Christ, what did you make that stint from?
Stint?
Oh, the piece of rubber on the outside, you know? The bridge thing to stabilize. Oh, I think that's a bit of bike tire.
That should work. We cut apart a phone case once.
You had your nose broken?
No, just fixed too. Not for lack of opportunities, though.
They also stuffed it.
Good. I mean, I can see that, but still, a thoughtful friends you have.
Yeah. My name's Percy, by the way.
Alright, Percy, do your call. I'll get some ice. Just stay there.
But your phone?
Please don't throw it in the river while I'm gone, I guess. Just a minute. I think I saw a kiosk somewhere around here.
Oh, just up the road, but...
Thanks. Most things are unreasonably expensive in the city, including stuff like ice, which couldn't possibly cost more to produce in Ruston than in the countryside. Of course, that's because any purchase has to pay in part for the significantly higher rent on the shop itself, but knowing the reason doesn't mean that I'll get used to it any quicker. Percy still sits hunched over next to the bridge, cradling my cell phone with his hands, but opposite him, on the other side of the stream, now stands a woman with a very punk-looking haircut. Despite the cold, her arms are bare, showcasing impressive musculature and a number of tattoos. I would probably not pay her much attention if it weren't for the fact that she is flashing the screen of her phone towards us with an outstretched arm, the words in it reading, "We will meet again." Assumably this is a warning directed at Percy, as the moment my eyes meet hers, she stashes the phone away and moves on.
Who was that? Who?
The lady with the tattoos.
Sorry, I wasn't really paying attention.
Is anyone after you? Should we go to the police? He tenses up at this.
No, I don't think so. If anyone's looking for me, it's the police, but I doubt it. They haven't... No.
Jesus, what happened? No, wait, here's some ice and pain meds, then tell me what happened. The first 3 digits of a phone number had been entered before the pursuit was apparently abandoned. I decide against bringing it up just yet.
You've heard of the Soul Chain, right?
Nope, not exactly from here. I smile to introduce some levity, but instead Percy looks dazed for a moment. His eyes attempt to find some pattern in the current. Should I have?
Guess not. Just weird to think about how things can be so localized when they fully encompass you.
Yeah, I'd say I recommend moving, but it seems like you've tried that.
Running away isn't the same as moving.
It can be, with some luck and some commitment.
I guess. Didn't run for the Soul Chain, though. That's where I moved to. Everyone kind of wants to be encompassed, I think. They just want to choose by what.
They rarely know the options.
Sometimes you only need to know that one of them is anything else.
Suppose I'm a coward then. So, Soul Chain.
The chain, I guess the term comes with a lot of baggage, and that's fine, it should. We're certainly self-aware about it, but the Soul Chain is kind of a cult. It's a cult of empaths, except it isn't, because 1 out of 5 people there doesn't believe in empaths, and only like half of them think that there's anything spiritual to it. I want to say that it's more of a support network for people who are diagnosed as empaths by themselves or others, whether they agree or not, but that would also be misleading because most self-help groups don't have sermons. They don't go around proselytizing. Some of the people there who really don't want it to be a cult call it a political movement advocating for the better treatment of empaths, but a set of the members are literal children who just fucking need a roof over their head. Political movements also don't have priests. Sorry if I'm nuance dumping here, but it's really strange to have someone whose perspective on this isn't already poisoned one way or another. So I feel like I have to make the most out of that opportunity. What's the salt chain? Fuck if I know. A bunch of people who are looking for stability or meaning or whatever, and build a community around it without ever agreeing what type of community it is. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. It's one of those things where something slots in really well with the context you have through the news and such, and really badly with your personal experience. Makes you sort of aware of how I only believe what I see with my own eyes. Your thinking really is just under the hood. Of course, you believe the other things, the news things, but it's not the same type of believing. It's shallower, easily pushed aside. When we outside of the cities hear about empaths, the dangers they pose, and the gangs and such, we can't really appreciate what that means because it immediately triggers this disconnect. Like, of course there would have to be empaths on the countryside. It makes no sense that they would only exist in the cities, and people who move to the city sure get diagnosed from time to time, but none of the issues associated seem to exist in that world. It's almost like ESP only starts being a thing once you test for it. That's how a lot of people see it, that it's nothing more than a plot by the government to atomize people. Others just say that it's naturally more of a problem with high population density and leave it at that, but either way, everyone chats with the butcher without fear of being manipulated. It's treated as an abstract political thing, not something that exists. We'd have to see it for that.
Gang. Yeah, that's another one. I mean, you know the demographics. Most people with ESP-related issues are relatively young. And what's a gang if not the young political movement of a marginalized group that can't really coherently articulate the demands yet? How do you even make demands if you can't internally agree on whether you exist or not? Or if your existence, should it be the case, means something? That's the political movement section, or current, I guess. They aren't really sectioned off, but you know what I mean. I think a gang earns the title of political movement once their message becomes more specific than stop fucking with us, and I don't think we're there yet.
It's a good message for what it's worth.
It is, right? I don't think that barrier to entry is justified. It's literally that easy. And I don't think any of this would go away if we stopped testing kids on how good they are at reading emotions. That might have done something years ago, but it's far too late now because anyone with half a brain cell can fail on purpose. You don't know if you might pass, so it's safer to err on the side of caution for literally everyone, and as a result, everyone does horribly. What that means, though, is that the baseline gets lower and lower, and what was perfectly normal one year is ESP the next, until all that is being tested for is your acting ability. Anyone who doesn't pretend to be a robot would be an empath by now. It's a fucking death spiral. But the thing is that the public know this. Worse than that, they spin it as some insidious plot by empaths subverting the system, even though they give their own fucking kids pointers on how to fail the tests. It's goddamn mental. But that's why stopping the tests won't do shit. It ceased being a news thing and started being real to people. Properly see with your own eyes, real, where data is useless. I've never gotten a positive test result. It doesn't matter at all, because no one believes in the test anymore. Instead, they diagnose the old-fashioned way, through biased, amateur, paranoid observation and hearsay. Once that ball gets rolling, once a single person points out that you seem a bit more social than your peers, you're fucked. And it's self-perpetuating. More allegations means more paranoia means more allegations. It's too fast and too stupid for the soul chain to be anything but incoherent.
Well, shit. You want a beer?
I'm 15.
And apparently old enough to get your nose broken while involved with something that is at least partially occult. Judging by the looks of it, you don't really need to worry about blood thinning anymore either.
Forgot about how the legality of drinking is determined by trauma, physical or otherwise.
That's just an offer. I've always thought that if anyone should get to drink, it's teenagers, you know? Adults at least kind of have options for dealing with their problems. Mostly bad ones, but options nonetheless. But childhood is an authoritarian state, and all you can really do is try to survive until you get some marginal freedom. So at least let them have drugs, for God's sake.
Guess I'll take one. Thanks. First real opinion I got out of you, and then it's such a strong one, and on this of all subjects.
I guess it really is these days. I'm honestly just plagiarizing a monologue the Crow used to give, but it has clawed its way into my bones. One of my most foundational beliefs now, probably.
It sounds like this Crow character is one of the people whose noses you would have had to fix.
She was. Both times, actually. My smile almost manages to be warm, but I feel the need to not allow a pause anyway. Talking about her is already making me keenly aware of the man attempting to establish contact through the phone in Percy's hands again, and I would prefer not to be. You never actually told me if you believe in the more spiritual branch, whatever that means.
It's tempting, you know? I think I went in wanting to believe that ESP is some higher divine connection. It's nice to think that you were at least kicked out of school for something that's real and that matters. But once you actually get together with people, it's very clear that they're making it up as they go. If 10 priests have visions giving them all the answers, but they're 10 different sets of answers, and then they spend the rest of the time arguing it out and negotiating, that doesn't exactly inspire confidence in the folks around to witness it. We are resourceful people. We'll make our own god if it is provided, but it is difficult to be a true believer while the whole thing is still very much under construction. The last step in creating magic is forgetting how the gears work, I think, and we haven't even entirely put them together yet.
Sounds like an interesting bunch.
Yeah, I hope they're alright.
What happened?
My chapter was moving to a different outchurch. They're essentially warehouses repurposed to provide shelter and space for meetings and such. And we have to cycle through them constantly since, again, in the eyes of the police, we are a gang. A local taxi driver helped us get a truck and move everyone and everything over, but, well, apparently they got wind somehow, and the place was raided a few days later.
You think he...
No, he's pretty much an honorary member. He wouldn't. Either way, I got roughed up a bit. We managed to escape to some alley. They stuffed my nose, and we decided that it was safer to scatter for a while. Moving as a group is too conspicuous. Now, I'm here.
Escaped?
Well, we ran. They can't really lock us up since we didn't do anything illegal, so the job is kind of just making our lives as precarious as possible. Still good to book it. You don't want them to have your picture on file. I could probably find them now. Should be long enough. But I don't know if I want to. Some meager safety is nice, don't get me wrong, but that's not really what I was looking for. I still kind of think that there might be an actual point out there. Some mechanism whose internal workings have successfully faded into obscurity.
Fuck. Maybe... He looks at me sadly.
It's not healthy, you know? I don't think it is.
What isn't?
Being so quiet, only listening. Shit, what's the point of walking through the night, through the city, when it belongs to drunks, ghosts, and non-committal teenagers with nowhere to go if you aren't gonna at least scream your lungs out at the sky? This everything, the colors and sounds, the bullshit of it all gets into you. It seeps in through your skin, your pores, every second of every day. The only way to get it out is to, well, get it out. Maybe that's why we run, because the world accumulates in a godforsaken bitch of a system, bodily speaking, and we don't know where to fucking put it. So we look for a new world, which can accumulate in turn because we haven't fixed fuck. So I think this is about me now and how stupid I am for only now getting that. You're an adult, I'm sure your reasons are better than this half-baked mopey bullshit. God, I feel like a tool.
This fucking kid. Can't really tell him that age doesn't improve your reasons. Can't really tell him that it's not an endless cycle, because that's no more than unfounded hope on my part. Yelling at the sky sounds nice, but I don't quite know what to tell it either. You're not, or at least I don't get the feeling that you're... Maybe it is the same shit again and again. I hope it isn't, but might be. Maybe actually fixing something is impossible. Maybe you just haven't found the tools yet. Could be either, but hey, you started running. That's better than most people.
Is it?
Sure. Can't help but think that it's easier to find those tools if you're moving. Not like they're just gonna appear in front of you.
Guess so.
I've never in my life seen someone drink beer this slowly. His eyes are still captured by the undulating patterns in the stream.
About that call, you can keep the phone in case you ever do decide to make it. I can't. You can't just...
Sure I can. I've been thinking of smashing the damn thing all night, and this is way more productive. It's old either way. There's one condition, though.
And what's that?
If some guy messages you asking for me, tell him to fuck off.
Thanks.
I first realized it in the store, how much lighter everything felt without the cursed device in my pocket. Just a case, a cigarette, and the clothes on my body. While the sun has set a while ago, it is only now that the last of its light has been purged from the sky. Still young, the night. I wonder where the moon will lead me.